Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with Fantastical Vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to episode 6 of Wanderlust and Wishes. We just got back from our agency trip, our Fantastical Vacations agency trip. We're very, very tired, but it was a phenomenal time. So we wanted to recap a couple of things. Both of us, as I've mentioned, are tired, so we're probably hopefully we make it through without too many mess ups. And Krystle's actually at the beach with her family because she planned like 4 weeks of vacation in a row during the month of June or end of June. So I also don't want to keep her from her family.
Guys, I don't know what I was thinking. This is exhausting. I should have timed this all better.
I think the first thing that obviously we had a wonderful time, but it was very, very, very hot. I've never been to Walt Disney World this late in June or this late in the summer. We typically travel the very first week of June. That's really the closest to summer that we get. Otherwise, we've been in October, December, January, February, and April. And it was extremely hot. You basically walked out of the resort or out of any building with AC and immediately started sweating.
pouring sweat. I was trying to remember too, because we were there in September, and I don't know if it's because I was wearing a backpack this time, and in September I had on the stroller. It just felt so hot. And maybe that's because we also got rained on, so it was extra humid. I don't know. We were both dying.
Yeah.
Thank you for fans and for lots of water breaks.
Yes. And it really, when it's that hot, you can expect it to storm every single afternoon. So it rained every afternoon that we were there. And the last day that we were there, when Krystle was trying to make it home, or not home, back to Charleston, she was trying to make her flight, and a lot of other people were trying to also travel. It was a very bad storm, tons of lightning. So that was interesting to be in the parks at that point, because I was hoping to be back at the resort by then to avoid it, and that did not happen. So
Well, and I think that makes for a good point of that our entire trip we were pivoting and just kind of playing it by ear because of the rain and the weather. Did anything go as planned?
I don't think that anything did. I think we had a loose plan for pretty much every day, but we definitely didn't get everything done that we planned on, but we also got, I think, some things done that we didn't necessarily expect to do, or we weren't necessarily planning on doing. So out of the first few minutes here, the nuggets to pull out are: plan for the heat, make sure you have enough water, and take plenty of breaks. And then the second one is, if at all possible, if you're flying, do not fly in or out in the afternoons during the summer. Is it probably not?
Spoiler alert, Krystle spent the night in the Nashville airport because I missed my connection.
Yes. And a lot of our other agent friends had similar experiences where their flights were either canceled completely or they were delayed to the point that they were getting home at, early in the morning or the next day, or they slept in the airport, that kind of situation. So it's definitely a major nugget. So for just timeline wise, I came in on Tuesday. I got in early. I had an early flight that came in. I think I got in around 10ish. And my room, I went straight to Riviera, and I was just going to just piddle around and wait for my room to be ready. But it was actually ready immediately. And so I went ahead up, went up to the room and put all my stuff down and went out exploring. I ended up going to Epcot Resort area, the boardwalk inn, and beach club and yacht club, and the Swan and Dolphin is also over in that area. But I had a reservation at Beaches and Cream, so did that. And then something fun that I've never done. We've just never had the opportunity. We've never done it. I went over to Magic Kingdom, to the DVC Tower, Bay Lake Tower at the Contemporary, and went to the DVC resort, not resort, DVC lounge. It's called the Top of the World Lounge Villain's Lair. So it has a villain theme. It was really neat. It was very interesting. So if you are a DVC member or you know of someone that's a DVC member, that's something really cool that I would recommend. It's a really small little lounge. There's not a lot of people that can fit in there. So it's 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 really like an intimate space. I had the other side drink. I don't remember. It was like a type of almost like a blueberry or blackberry mule type situation. It was really, really good. And I had Unfortunate Souls shrimp.
Those look
And
so good.
oh, it was very good. Yes, I posted it on my stories. It was so good. Both of them honestly were 10 out of 10. The shrimp actually would be more like probably like a 12 or 13 out of 10. It was so good. I'll probably be dreaming about that for a while. It was very, very good. So Wednesday, I paid for the fact that I did not drink enough water on Tuesday. So again, the nugget, make sure you drink water. I was very dehydrated. I had massive headache when I woke up. So I had to make sure I drank lots of water on Wednesday morning. And then Krystle was on her way in, and I met her over at Universal Studios. So what was your travel like on Wednesday?
Trying to even remember what even happened. It was smooth. It was honestly really smooth. I carried everything on. I didn't have to wait for bags. I had an Uber driver there ready. Got over to Universal. My room was ready. And then I think we'll recap all of our Universal stuff
Yes.
on another episode, but we both met up at Universal, and then that evening we had dinner at Wilderness Lodge at Artist Point, and that is a character meal, and we had dinner with the Evil Queen and Snow White, Dopey, Grumpy, and then we also had another agent friend that joined us for the reservation. What did you think of dinner?
I loved it. It's one of my favorite character meals. I think some of that is because I love Wilderness Lodge so much, and I love the atmosphere. I I think the food is, I mean, it's good. It's okay. Like, I don't think the food is like out of this world fantastic. For me, it's more about the atmosphere of the restaurant. It's really, really pretty. It's like, basically being in like a wooded area, and they have, lights that are, strings of lights all around. And so it's really pretty. And then the character interactions are just spot on.
We had the
They're
best interactions there.
Mm. And I've never had a bad experience there. I mean, every time I think that was probably maybe my fourth time being at that restaurant, and every single time the character interactions are phenomenal. They're so good.
So we did have a great view. We were sat by the window, and it was kind of in the corner that we could see the waterfall, and out the other way we could see, which lake is that? The lake between Magic Kingdom and Wilderness Lodge, and we could kind of get a glimpse of the pool a little bit.
Yeah.
It was the kids pool because it was the kids play structure area.
Yeah, I mean, the main pool is just right on the other side of that. But yeah, I think that we could see the kids area, the kids kind of splash pad play area, and that really pretty central kind of focal point of the waterfall area. It was, and we also, after dinner, we walked around and took some pictures and just kind of soaked in the ambiance of the lobby because it's just so pretty. I love it.
So I will say I enjoyed the food, but I know if anybody has picky eaters, it might be one that
Yeah.
might be kind of hard. So like our appetizer, I was just looking at pictures on my phone so I can remember exactly what we were doing. We had a shrimp, there was a meatball, there's a mushroom bisque. For my main dish, I had a stroganoff, and then our friend had gnocchi, and you had a grilled chicken.
I think I have roasted or grilled chicken with vegetables. It had a little bit, like very, very small amount of like cheese, polenta. And then the vegetables were, it was basically like seasoned cauliflower. It was good. But yeah, I mean, I could see where just looking at the pictures of mine, I probably, even kids and probably some adults would, wouldn't necessarily want that type of food. But they had they had some type of steak or beef entree that was more like a beef and potatoes kind of entree that I think my husband probably gets that one. But I would agree with you. It's not like a something that your picky eater children or adults are probably going to be super thrilled with.
And for this one, your appetizers and your dessert come family style, like on a little tray, and then that's for the table, and then you choose your entree. So it's kind of a set menu for the family style items, and then you choose from what you want for the entree.
And I will also kind of speak up regarding any kind of food allergies. They're really great about that. I had my own. There were some things that were automatically gluten free, but they brought separate trays or plates for some of the things that I needed to have that were separate and that weren't included. I think it mostly impacted the desserts.
And our other agent friend, she also had an allergy, and it was not a common one. So the server made sure to like talk to the chef and like talk to her in depth about it,
Yeah.
just so they understood. So I was really impressed with that aspect of it.
Yeah, they're really great. Disney World specifically is probably one of the places that I feel like I can go and I don't ever have to worry about the fact that that I'm not going to have something to eat, because sometimes I do have to deal with that I go somewhere and I can't, there's really not a whole lot for me. And going to Disney World, they have lots of options. It's great.
So one of my most favorite moments of this dinner was I was just chit chatting away, and Dopey came up behind me and scared the ever living daylights out of me. And he was so proud of himself for scaring me. And I was just laughing, and he was laughing. It was just hilarious. And then the evil queen, when they did their dance, she was making the most hilarious faces at all of them.
Yeah. she was she was mimicking Snow White's, just happy attitude and positive attitude about everything. She was kind of mimicking them. So yeah, she was very funny. And when you do go up to talk to her, you get a card by your server, and they give that to you when it's basically your turn to be able to go up, and you get pictures with the evil queen, and she will chat with you for a few minutes. And yes, her top her topic of discussion is how much Snow White is not that great. And she doesn't understand why everybody likes Snow White. So it's pretty funny. So that, I think we just, after dinner, we went to the we did the kind of walked around to get some pictures and video, and then we also went into the gift shop for a few minutes. You did get a shirt, didn't you?
Yes, it's very cute. It says Wilderness Lodge, and it kind of looks like the national park signs.
Yeah. And I think after that, we just went back to the resort and got ready for the next day, because Thursday we spent all day at Universal. As Krystle said, we're going to recap that in a separate episode just because it's just a whole different thing. And we spent most
So
of it through what, like 3 o'clock ish, 3:30.
yeah, because we had dinner reservations at Disney Springs at 6, and I had to get back to the resort at Universal to pick up my bags. And then we had to Uber over to the Riviera. We had a
Yes,
great driver that was trying to avoid
the traffic.
all the
Yeah.
traffic because that took forever. And then we hurried and changed out of our sweaty, yucky park clothes. And we made it over to Disney Springs. We ate at Summer House on the Lake. And it was so fun because we'd mentioned we were having basically like a takeover with our agency.
Hmm.
And we were kind of paired with people we didn't know. So we had a table 4, and where they sat us, it was really fun because we got to see other agents come in, and I had never met anybody else prior to this week. And some of people I'd recognize their face from their Facebook profile, or I'd be like, is that someone from us?
Hmm.
So it was very fun to eat and to just chit chat and finally meet everybody. I had a salad there that was very good. And then you also had a salad, didn't you?
I did. It was so good. It was the shredded Brussels sprout salad. And I know that for some people that probably doesn't sound good, but it was so good. Like that's another thing that I'll probably be dreaming about. Like I want to go back and get it because I did not eat as much I was just full and I wanted to eat the whole thing because it was so good. But yeah, it was yummy, very yummy.
Yes. Mine was the Costa Mesa salad with grilled chicken. That was delicious. Our friend, they both got some sushi and some pizza.
Yeah.
And then we ended the night with cookies.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys did get cookies. They were supposedly they were going to go over to Paleo's as well because they love the like drinks and I think some of the appetizers over there. And so they were going to have a second dinner. And so they were supposedly eating light, but then they ended up getting a cookie and they had a pizza. And I mean, they shared, everything, but it was funny.
After that, we went around the restaurant meeting everybody.
Mhm.
And then we made our way over to the area where they have the drone show. So you kind of meet up by Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
And then there's like a big grassy area that over there that I didn't know existed.
Yeah. I don't think anybody knew it existed. They have like the tape markers on the sidewalk getting everybody to go in that direction. If you're looking for that spot, just kind of look for the like mass of people headed in the direction of Cirque du Soleil. That's where it is.
I thought the drone show was very well done. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't too long, really cute, and they had some good music to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. I honestly expected it to be longer. I was a little surprised whenever
I
it fit.
I actually was too.
I was like, that's it. It's over. It's done. And it was great. I mean, I think what they do with the drones is amazing because it's hard to capture on a video, but when you're there in person, you can see they make the figures like 3D and they,
They
kind of,
rotated them.
yeah, they rotate them around. And I just think that's amazing that they're able to do that with drones and lights from the drones. So I thought it was great. I loved it. We're going to be going back in a few weeks to the Orlando area and we're definitely going to go. My family and my parents are going to be there. We're going to watch it. It's a nice end to the night to be able to go and do that or just like a quick little thing that's different.
After the drone show, we made our way over to World of Disney because we had things to get, and this was our only chance that we were going to be at the
Hmm.
big Disney store. So
Yeah,
we were there for probably an hour looking at everything.
probably. Oh, I love that store. I didn't really get that much, but I'd still like to walk around and look at all of the things and I knew I had to be really good about like I could not go crazy and I could not go overboard because I was not going to be able to fit everything in my bags coming back if I got too crazy and bought too much. So I I scaled it back significantly from what we typically do when we go into World of Disney. So,
I did find the cutest hey hey for Harper. He's so cute.
does she love it?
She was a little disappointed because that's not what she asked for, but she loves
Ah!
it now. I also found a little teeny tiny stuffed Olaf with like the little magnetic hands. And little Miss Reese, my 2-year-old, she requested when she learned I was going to Disney, she wanted Olaf stuffy, me. So I was on the hunt. I had to find a Olaf stuffy. So they didn't have a great selection. They just had like the big giant pillows. But
Yeah.
she did love her little guy. She's been carrying him around. So excited.
Oh, good. I'm glad that she liked it. I don't know. Are we really super surprised by Harper's response though?
No, no, not at all.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, so we headed back after World of Disney. We headed back to Riviera, and because we had a very early 8 o'clock Topolino's reservation with one of our other agent friends, Monica. So we did that on Friday morning. It was so fun. Again, character interactions are just perfection. They're just so great. And Donald is one of the characters at Topolino's, and he is just a wild man. He's so funny.
He was so great. We saw Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Daisy, and they're all in their French inspired clothes. So
Like
like
a little artist. Like they have like painting.
yes, Mickey and Donald have like their artist smocks on, and then the girls, of course, are just fancy like.
And we had a little, it was kind of fun. We had a little photo shoot on the terrace after we ate breakfast. So that was fun, getting some silly pictures. And then after that, we took the Skyliner over to Epcot for our agency meeting. Our agency meeting, we met around 10:30, and I think we went in right at 11. Again, we were all dripping from just standing outside. We all tried to get in the shade as much as possible because they let us in like right at 11. So,
Yeah, they weren't letting us in a second early, and it was
no.
hot.
And every time somebody would open the door, we would all like run over and try to get a little bit of the air conditioning because it was so hot. I
So
mean,
we were hanging out in front of the Coral Reef restaurant because
yes.
we were kind of taken behind. There's like a convention space. You could see the backside of the aquarium, and during our meetings, you could see scuba divers.
Yeah, that was funny. Whenever Dan and Leslie were presenting, there was a couple times when they kind of were like, "What are you guys? Why are you looking at me like that?" And we would point, and they turned around, and we would all just kind of laugh because we were all, staring at the scuba diver that was waving behind them. But it was really nice. We had kind of a Tex-Mex Paco's lunch, and then Dan and Leslie did presentations, and we also had a panel. We did get some goodies from Dan and Leslie, and also our business development manager from Disney, Freddie. He's specific to our agency. He also gave us a couple little goodies, which was nice. It was a fantastic meeting. I love the culture. We talked a lot about our why as an organization or as an agency, and it was really awesome. Really uplifting for sure.
So we were in there for most of the afternoon. And then once we finished up in there, we ran back to the Riviera to drop off all of our goodies because I was not packing them around for the
We
rest of the night.
forgot about that. Yeah, because I was like, we went. I know we went. Also, we came like running back because we almost missed our Cosmic Rewind reservation. Took us longer to get back than we thought, but we made it. It was fine. Right after Cosmic Rewind, we headed over to the Connections restaurant because I could tell the sky was getting ready to open up, and it did pretty much as soon, like right after we got in there. So we did get something to eat, and then after that, we really had no choice but to go out into the rain. So Monica also came over to Connections, and we walked with her. We started walking back towards the American Pavilion because that's where our fireworks dessert party was going to be housed. Since it was raining, they moved it inside. And we had a couple of stops on the way. We did stop at Three Caballeros. and I had to run into Caramel Couche. I know I always say that wrong, but it's the German caramel shop. I had to get some stuff for my husband, and I also had to get something for myself because I love that place. And then we had a really fun time at the dessert party. We did pictures. Krystle was ordering everyone around.
When you get that many people together, it's like herding cats, no matter what you're doing.
And so we had my tripod with us, and so she's like getting everybody, in place. And we also had another like fun reel that we did where we did the kind of the jump over the camera from our house, and then we had to jump back, jump over the camera into Epcot. We did that recording as well. That was really funny. So, and it turned out really well. But after the dessert party, we watched Luminous from the, I don't know what it's called. It's over in the like near, it's right before the bridge on the water side of the French Pavilion area. But it was really, really nice spot to watch the fireworks. It was like the perfect spot.
I was going to see if I could. Yeah, it's kind of part of like the right between France and the UK.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little island right there. And it's part of that little island with the
Mm-hmm.
bridge.
Yeah. But it was just perfect. It really was. So, and we watched the show. The show, of course, made me cry because it always does, or the fireworks always do. They always get me. I did really well. I kept it together for most of it, and then it just towards the end, I just couldn't keep it together. And then after that, we went to Jelly Rolls, and that was fun. That was a fun time. Definitely got to see some aside to some of the agents that we haven't seen yet. So it was pretty funny.
Oh, well, and then we made it back to the resort around, I'm just trying to see timestamps on pictures here. So we left Jelly Rolls about 11:30. I made it back to the Riviera, quick to bed because we had a early morning. We ended up canceling our Crystal Palace reservation. Just we had a lot going on and we weren't feeling it.
No, I was not feeling it. I knew that we had to
Uh,
get by like 6:45 at the latest to be ready to do reservations for Tiana. And I didn't want to get up so early. And I also was worried that we were going to be in transit or something, trying to get to where we needed to go. And it would just mess up our chances.
oh, Tiana's folks. So we had hooked our accounts to a couple other agent friends, and we had multiple people trying for the individual lightning lane, and no one
No,
in our group got it.
no, the virtual queue, not the lightning lane. Because you had the lightning lane and you had the virtual queue. It doesn't have individual lightning lane.
That's what I meant, guys. The virtual queue.
I know. I knew that's what you meant. I just wanted to make sure yeah, the virtual queue was gone immediately. I was one of the ones trying for the virtual queue, and I hit like as soon as it was available, and I immediately got an error because it was gone already. It was crazy.
We bought Genie Plus, and I was trying to get that as our first selection, and I did end up getting it, but the earliest time was 5 p.m. So I was very bummed because I knew I had to be at the airport. My flight was supposed to leave at 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of bummed, but I was like, at least we have one. And I actually sat for 10 minutes after, just refreshing and trying to modify, but nothing was popping up. So after 45 minutes of like packing and getting ready, I modified again and miraculously found one for 10 a.m. And I snagged that sucker as fast as I could.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on at first because she just started screaming, and I was like, "What is happening? Is that a good scream? Is that a bad scream? What's going on? What's happening?"
And it was still so early. But I got it and I was very excited. So then we made our way to Magic Kingdom and we took some castle pictures and met up with some other agents, friends. Then what did we do? We went and rode Haunted Mansion,
Mm-hmm.
made our way over to Tomorrowland because our friend had a Tron
Yes.
individual lightning lane.
Yeah.
And you stopped for coffee and I went and got a cream cheese pretzel. And then it was time for make our way over to Tiana's, and it was down. And our
We
Genie
were we were so sad.
Plus had turned into an anytime experience. So when something goes down, your reservation turns into this like special fast pass something, whatever, that you can go for I should say most.
Yeah. You can use it pretty much on anything.
Yes, most of the rides in the park for any time of the day. So these are really great to have in your back pocket, but you also have to be careful because if you're not watching your timestamp, or if you could easily scan into something and not realize it was using that instead of
Yeah.
your virtual queue or your something else that you already had planned.
Yeah. And it is a good thing though, because it used to be that if you had an individual lightning lane or a lightning lane scheduled and a ride went down, or it went down for weather or some kind of mechanical issue or whatever, you had to go find guest services. You had to go find one of the umbrellas and talk to someone to get that added to your lightning lane or to Genie Plus. Now they're automatically adding it for you, which is so much nicer, because there's been plenty of times that when you, especially with like an individual lightning lane, and you pay for it, and then it goes down, like I'm like, wait, you paid for that specific ride, and you would have to go find someone to fix it for you. So it's very, very nice that they have that.
So we walked around, we were trying to get a feel for, they knew how long it was going to be down. We checked out they have like a little gift shop in the back.
We rode the World Railroad, rode the train.
Oh yes, that's right. We did ride the railroad from,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not Tomorrowland. It's over there by the Barnstormer.
At the circus
In that
area.
little, yes, from there to Frontierland, and then checked out, kind of just walked through the little bit of the queue that was closed.
We stalked the cast members a couple of times. Everybody was trying to get information on whether they knew
You
when it
know
was.
anything?
Yeah.
And then it was we were getting hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up actually making our way over to Hollywood Studios. We all put in mobile orders for lunch at ABC Commissary. We also had a lightning lane for Tower of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
So we hopped the bus, made it over there, ran to our lightning lane. I thoroughly enjoyed that experience. That was a good sequence for Tower of Terror.
We were with our friend Cassie, and she was sitting next to me. She was in the middle, and I just warned her. I was like, I'm a really loud Tower of Terror screamer. She's like, it's okay. So yeah, it was very fun. I agree with you. It was so fun. And then we headed over. After that, we headed straight over to ABC Commissary to get food, and we found Katie and Danielle, also other travel agent friends that were there. We sat down with we literally sat down with our food, and Tiana's came back up.
They had a virtual queue. They were grouped
Yeah.
like 26.
Uh-huh.
And so they had seen that they were calling groups like 1 through 12 or something. So they knew that they needed to be heading back before long as well. So we were all like, well, what are we going to do? We ended up calling a minivan, and we all, 5 of us, made our way back over to Magic Kingdom. The great thing about a minivan at Magic Kingdom is it can drop off right up the front by the buses. If you were to Uber or Lyft, they have to drop you off the Ticket and Transportation Center, and you
Mm.
still have to either ride the monorail or ride the ferry across the lake to get to the park. That was kind of our main reason for minivanning, and also because there were 5 of us and we could split the cost 5 ways, because it is double or triple what a
Yeah.
normal Uber or Lyft would be.
Yeah, it was like close to $40, I think. I think it was like 36 or something along those lines. And it was actually on, they call it minivan because it's a cute play on words, but we actually had a big Suburban, and it was really nice. It was a really nice ride for sure. And air conditioning, that was
They
awesome.
had a movie playing if you have kids.
Yeah.
They also have car seats, which is really nice, not to have to worry about.
Yes, it is. And yeah, it's just a whole like if that's something it's not something that you probably want to do for every single time you have to go back and forth if you need a ride, but it's definitely a good option if you need something that goes directly to Magic Kingdom, like Krystle mentioned, and just it's a little bit more upscale feel to it.
So once we got to the park, we raced straight back to Tiana's.
We did.
And by
So,
this time, it was about 2 o'clock. So I was starting to get a little frantic that the line was going to be too long because I needed to get my butt in gear and get to the airport. But I did not want to miss this.
hmm it was. I mean, we maybe waited 10 minutes. I think
Yeah, it
maybe.
was very quick. It was very quick. I did notice that the virtual queue line, it was wrapped around and
Yeah,
people, it was a ways.
yeah. Well, virtual queue definitely does not mean you're going to be in there quick. It just means really with this type of situation, virtual queue means that you get the opportunity to stand in the standby line because it's so new and popular. They just have to limit the amount of people that come through there in some way, and that's the way that they're able to do it. But for those of you that have ridden Splash before, we basically when we got in there, we were at the stairs that walking into the building. So it's not very far to get to get to the end of the queue, especially if the queue's moving fairly quickly, and it was. And I got a fun video of Krystle and Cassie underneath the vent that was blowing out air conditioning.
Oh,
They
it was
did.
so cold and it was so powerful and it felt so nice. Especially after we had just hustled from
Yes.
Hollywood Studios
Yes.
and hiked through Magic Kingdom to the back of the park.
Yes. We were running basically. We were Disney walking where we're not quite running, but you're walking very fast to get where you need to go. I know at this point a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to get on the ride. So I don't want to do too many spoilers, but I will say that it is the most beautiful ride at Disney. Like I think the most beautiful ride they've ever done. It is absolutely stunning. I loved Splash Mountain and I have I'm not disappointed one single tiny teensy bit with what they've done. They very, very well done. Perfection.
I also loved the old Splash Mountain, but I had never been on the Disney World version. So I didn't know what exactly to expect because it is a little bit, the ride itself was a little bit different than the Disneyland version. But we did look out and we got the front row. Julie and I did. It was so fun. I was so glad that we were able to do it. And it's kind of like a big relief after the back and forth emotions of the day
Yeah.
pertaining to the ride.
A couple of other just nuggets from the things that we've been talking through. We've mentioned it in previous episodes, but a lot of our time, like a lot of our time that day was taken up going back and forth between the parks. So just understanding that it takes time, even if you are seasoned Walt Disney World goers, it takes time to get from one park to the other. And sometimes you have to get creative. Like we used the minivan so that we could get there faster because otherwise, I mean, it would have been, I would, I would guess an additional 30 minutes it would have taken us to get over there.
Well, and
Um,
if so, just looking at pictures, we sat down with our food at Hollywood Studios at 12:46.
mhm,
We got to the front of the park at 10 after 1 and we're in our minivan by 1:17.
mhm,
We got to Magic Kingdom by 1:32, and by the time we got to the entrance to Tiana's, it was 1:45.
yeah,
So, it took an entire hour to get from ABC Commissary to the ride, and we were hoofing it, and we were doing it with purpose, and we were doing everything in our power to hurry as fast as we could.
yeah. And we basically like swallowed our food whole. We just like we downed our food like because we were trying to hurry. And the other the other nugget that I was going to mention, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, is that just because you get on the virtual queue doesn't mean that you're going to walk on the ride. You may have an hour or 90-minute wait with having a virtual queue. And the other piece is that because it started to storm right after we got off, probably not even 30 minutes after that, the ride was down again.
I don't know if
Because
it was open for 90 minutes during that time of the day.
so those people that had their virtual queue, and even if they were early, fairly early number, they still didn't get to ride until late in the day. Our friend Monica, she had, I think, was she 60?
Yeah, she was group 60. What time did
And
she end up getting to ride?
I think it was probably like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, maybe.
So we were actually curious. They usually have another drop for virtual queues around 1 p.m., but with it being down all morning, I don't know if they even had a second drop.
Yeah, they probably didn't. Or if they did, those people had absolutely zero chance of getting on that day. So I think these are just things that you have to remember and think through when making your choice or your decision on whether to choose virtual queue, which is free, or choosing to use Genie Plus, which you have to pay for. It just depends. There's so many factors there's so many things that could happen. The ride could go down for mechanical issues, or where it could be because of the weather, and there's nothing they can do about the weather. So after Tiana's, Krystle pretty much had to run out. We did stop to get like a really quick Dole Whip, which basically melted like upon like immediately they handed it to us and it was like melting down our hand. And then we ran out. Cassie and I went over to Disney Hollywood Studios to do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It was down when we got there. But
Everything was down that day. The People
and
Mover was retried. Pirates was down.
I know we didn't get to do People Mover. I was very sad about that. But we did get to do Mickey and Minnie's. And then as soon as we came out, it was like this torrential downpour, lightning, like really bad storm, which was also keeping Krystle from being able to leave on time and a lot of other people from being able to leave on time. After, I don't know, maybe like it was probably 30, 45 minutes. And we did sit there for a little bit and tried to let it like calm down a little because it was lightning, like severe lightning. And we didn't want to walk out in the middle of all that. But we did eventually go out, and I got back to the resort and I was basically toast at that point. And there was no way I was leaving my resort room for any reason other than to maybe get like a coffee or some food or something. So once I got back to the resort, I just basically worked on catching up on client emails and quotes and things that I needed to touch base on. And then Krystle got to have a lovely stay at the Nashville airport overnight.
Well, and what makes it all worse is so we were delayed. When I got to the airport, my flight was on time. So I was hustling. I had 1 hour to get through security and get to even half hour really, if you count like the time they start boarding. And I have TSA pre-check, so I flew right through security. And then by the time I got to my gate, they're like, "Oh, we're delayed." And then it just kept getting pushed back. And I think we ended up being delayed 2 hours. So when I got to Nashville, my connection, I had missed the connection by 15 minutes.
Oh,
15 minutes. And so they said, "We rebooked you for in the morning at 10 a.m. Go grab your bag at baggage claim." And I spent the night in the airport. It's very lovely night.
oh
Oh.
you sent me a text that you checked back in through security at like 3:30 a.m. I was like,
Yes, because Nashville closes their airport from the hours of 1 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. So we had to all go out. It was a mess. There was no like good stretch of sleep time because like we had to go out, then we had to come back in, and then flights started running, and yeah. So, and everything was closed after the last flights were coming in around 11. So, like trying to find food. And luckily, I picked up a snack right as I got there because if not, I would have been like, there was nothing. No vending machines, no nothing was open. So, I did end up making it to Charleston around noon yesterday, and I'm here for beach week. So,
Yay.
oh, take a deep breath. I made it.
I think the one last nugget that I want to throw in is there's a reason that we recommend rest days, because if you do like 4 or 5 days in a row of like 20,000 steps and you don't have a day of rest in the middle, you're going to feel like you've been run over by a truck when you get home. So,
I was just trying to go see what my steps were over the weekend.
yeah, it was. I looked at. I mean, I was looking at mine, and I was in the probably 15,000 steps. I think on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it was all around 20,000.
Oh,
So,
yep. Yep.
and
Friday was my least day, but that's because we also sat in our
yeah,
meetings for a couple
we,
hours and I still had 17,000 steps.
exactly. It really is important to have a rest day in the middle. I think in our situation, it was a little bit more difficult because it was kind of a whirlwind type trip. But even as adults, rest days are not just for kids. Even as adults, if that's not something that you're typically doing, if, you're on your feet all day long, also being in the heat, you really need a day to just chill and not do anything and give your body time to recover and drink a lot of water and rehydrate and all of those things.
Exactly.
Overall, it was just the very best trip. I was so excited to meet Krystle in person and obviously all the other agents as well. We had the best time, lots of wonderful memories made, lots of content to share. We have an episode coming up where we'll talk about our days at Universal. And I also have a family trip coming up. So we'll do that with a pre-trip report. And then Krystle also needs to tell us about her trip to Mexico. We haven't even started
Oh
talking
yeah, we
about.
haven't even touched that yet.
So we have a couple of really fun episodes coming up. And I do want to throw in really quickly before that we say goodbye. We have a listener in Sweden that has been with us from the very beginning. The person has listened to all of our episodes every week. We do not know your name, but we love you and thank you so much for supporting us and for coming along with us on this journey. And of course, all of our other listeners, we love you too. That person, it's very easy for us to tell that person is listening to us consistently because that person's in Sweden. We're really excited and to keep bringing you content.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
It's time for a nap.
It's time for a nap. Well, thank you so much for listening this week. We will chat again with you next week. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.